Great. All right. Thank you. So, we get going. Well, okay, interesting. Welcome to the September 26th, 2024 Hunter County Planning Board meeting. And we have, as a reminder, it's being recorded, and I believe it's being streamed as well. Several members online. There are minutes to approve and 3 presentations. So we'll get going with the roll call. Bill Santos, I'm here. Mike Wiedemer. Here. Thank you. Sam Trapani. Andrew Hollister. Awesome. Good to see you. All right. Orlando Rivera.
Here.
Hey, Orlando, welcome. Dave Watson.
Here.
Millie Safranik.
Here.
Robert Colby. Rachel Barnhart.
Here.
Jeff McCann. Adrian Green. Here. Amy Grower. Laura Smith.
Bill, I'm by phone. I would prefer to keep my camera off. I'm out sick. But if quorum is needed, I'm happy to turn my camera on and join as quorum.
Yeah, we have plenty, Laura, so that's fine.
Fantastic. I'll save you my face.
Robert Franklin, right? Joe Taddeo. Richard Tantalo. Here. Christina Doherty. Mike Garland and Sean Murphy. Here. Great. Yishan.
Yes, we have Andy from Department of Aviation here to
Hello.
answer questions. And also with me, Lisa Hangchun, our clerk, support for the planning board. And my name is Yishan Lin with the Department of Planning and Development.
Welcome, everyone. Let's go to item number 1 on the agenda, and that is approval of the June 27th, 2024 meeting minutes. They were emailed to you, included in the packet, and I need a motion for those, please.
So move.
Thank you, David. I heard a second over here. David. And you guys want to fight it out? Rachel? Okay. Rachel. Are there any corrections, any comments for those? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Approved. There are announcements and communications.
So I would like to announce the Department of Planning and Development going to host a land use decision-making training program, and these are gonna pass out the flyers. And this training will satisfy New York State require for our training requirements for the planning board and zoning board members. I think, the county board, county planning board, I think because we are charter county and it's exempt, it's that if you appointed by the governing body, it's also required for our training, and county staff is exempt.
Yep.
And the training, if through the flyer, you will see is introduction to land use laws, and also we'll talk about the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And it will be hosted on Wednesday, October 30th, 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at MCC. So you're welcome to register, and if you have any questions, you can email or call me.
It's good. It's a good program. Two good courses right there. Any other, let's see, looks like we have,
Send out some, content updates, and thank you all you to respond and provide us with the most recent updates, and we should be all set now.
are we all set with the contacts now, or?
There's a few who haven't been here, but that's
Okay.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
do we need to, you want me to reach out to anybody, or are you guys?
I think I would email to, I think it's like to say the Kobe and Sam
Yeah, that's
Trampelli.
it. Those,
We
just
haven't,
those two.
All right,
I will email them. first.
okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, action items, we'll move on to those. And the first one of the three is to amend the 2024 capital budget to increase funding for the airport building improvements project at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport in the amount of $3 million from $2.25 million to $5.25 million for a total project authorization of $5,250,000. And I need a motion for that, please. Thank you, Sean. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. And Andy, you're on.
Sure, thank you,
Thanks for
Mr.
coming out.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Really what this request is for is Customs and Border Protection, CBP, is located at the airport. It's a federal agency, works both with the airlines and with the private side and corporate side of the airport. They are located right in the terminal building, the International Arrivals Hall. They have about 1,000 square feet in there right now. About a year and a half ago, they came out with a new manual across the country. It's about 3 inches thick. It'll bore you to death if you read it, but it has all the new requirements that Customs and Border Protection is now mandating at their locations at airports. And so the existing site that they're at does not meet those specifications in a lot of different areas. And so the airport, working with CBP out of Buffalo and then also in Washington, D.C., found a location. It's a vacant kind of freight building on the east side of the airport that can meet their requirements with build outs that we would do, through the county bid process and so forth. And so the additional cost is to cover the cost of that project, or the additional increase is to cover the cost of that project. So we can meet the mandated requirements that Customs and Border Protection has on our airport in order for them to maintain their presence at the airport and do the jobs that they do. So.
Any questions for Andy?
The current terminals was built with the possibility of individual travelers, right? That's why it's located where it is. The new site would be not in the terminal building?
Correct. The new site it's a separate building it's on the airport property. It has airfield access, meaning a plane could pull up next to it if it needed to, but it is not in the terminal building. You're correct.
Because most of the international flights you have the present day are non-traveler. They're cargo specific or private aircraft.
Correct. They tend to be some FedEx flights that come in, but most of them are on the corporate general aviation side of the airport, which is the south side, the Scottsville Road side of the airport.
And that's where the building's gonna be, or,
The building will be kind of halfway between where the terminal is and where the FBO is, a fixed-based operator. Those are the companies that handle the aircraft. It's on the east side of the building. There is a service road, both on the airfield and on the land side, or the secured and public side, that can get people to and from that location. And it's a vacant building on airport property. I think I said that before.
and the location makes sense. for
Yes.
that.
Yep,
Okay.
and it is approved, the location and its conveniences to the terminal and to the corporate side of the airport have been approved by Customs and Border Protection for what their needs are. So they've been on site multiple times looking at that particular location.
Mike, you all set?
Yep.
Andrew, yeah.
I was just gonna ask what international flights we have coming in and out, but that was kind of answered already.
Okay. So you have a larger project and you're adding this scope basically to it.
Correct.
Any other questions for any? Okay, hearing no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Motion is approved. Next, we have a proposal to amend the 2024 capital budget to increase funding for the airport safety and security project at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport in the amount of $2 million from $1.8 million to $3.8 million for a total project authorization of $3.8 million. I need a motion for that, please.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Richard. And Mike. And you're up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So we're dealing with another federal agency here called the Transportation Security Administration, TSA. TSA oversees and regulates all airports, commercial service airports across the country when it comes to security and also passengers and security apparatuses. As you can imagine, technologies change all the time in the world of security. And at the airport, we are starting to get to a point where our existing infrastructure, security infrastructure, when I say that, I'm talking about software and hardware, is becoming outdated, unserviceable, and the providers are not providing the equipment needed anymore. There's a term that I'm just forgetting for that, but the IT people may know what I'm talking about here, but it's just not, we're not able to get the replenished software and replenished hardware like we have been in the past.
there's no support.
Correct.
Yeah.
The support's not there anymore. And so TSA, again, new initiatives across the country, not just us, is going and doing the audits on the airports and basically saying, you need to upgrade your security apparatus at this airport. Ironically, and I don't like to use the word ironically, one of the biggest parts of this project is access control, and that's your badge capabilities going in and out of airport properties. We've got around 400 areas that badges can get in and out of different areas of the terminal building and also the airport property itself. It's about 1,200 acres at the airport, including the fence line that goes around the airport. Unfortunately, the technologies are out there today that these can be copied and replicated. In fact, one of our IT people at the airport purchased something on Amazon that was capable of doing that itself. And so TSA is really pushing airports to get new capabilities, new security structures in place at airports, both on the physical side of things, meaning making sure your fence line and your gate access to the airport is the most advanced, but then also making your badge access capable of being one step ahead of the bad actors is really what they're concerned about. And then making sure your camera capabilities and your fiber capabilities handling the information flow going between all the cameras is the latest and greatest and able to detect what it needs to detect. You know, as a lot of people in this room know, those camera technologies are changing all the time. And so we need to make sure that we are one step ahead of people that are potentially looking to cause problems on airport properties. And so I'm here today. We've got a project identified. We've been working with TSA to satisfy these new requirements. Again, it's not just Rochester, it's all 400 plus commercial service airports across the country that are now taking on these new security IT initiatives moving forward. So I'm here today to request authorization to increase that capital account so we can get going on this security initiative at the airport.
Any questions for Andy?
Is the percent that's local share consistent across those 400 commercial airports, would you say?
Yes, that is, we're looking to use mostly FAA money. You know, I think 90% of it will be FAA money and then a 5% local, 5% state. And that is very consistent with all airport projects on the airport that are FAA funded. It's typically a 95-5 relationship.
So will this change the passenger experience at all, or is it mostly stuff that passengers won't notice?
It's exactly what I was going to say. You would never know it. And that's kind of the way we want it to be, good and bad. So you should never know anything going on or anything security wise. Yeah.
Yeah. Did TSA come in and do actual field work and look at the locations and say, yeah, we just need to do this here and we just need to do that there?
So TSA is permanently at the airport.
Right.
There's
Okay.
probably
Yep.
4 to 5 TSA officers at the airport at any one given time.
Right, but they probably have a consultant or
Correct.
someone making rounds around the nation, right? Saying this is what we need. Or maybe local is reporting back to TSA saying this is what we need. Is there someone who's getting eyes at each gate, at each, entrance saying, yeah, this is a problem, or should be, improved here?
Yes, there's 2 compliance officers from TSA at the airport
Okay.
all the time,
Okay,
and they are testing the systems on a regular basis.
okay, and that's at every airport.
Yes,
Okay,
every commercial service
Okay.
airport, that's what they're supposed to be doing. So when these new regulations or mandates came out, they obviously became, really experts on those,
Right.
and then identified where some vulnerabilities were. They also had IT people come in too from Washington, DC, that were
Okay.
specialists in the security badging and how to be one step ahead of people that are able to hack into systems and so forth. And so, in meetings with both local and from Washington, DC, we developed a plan that met the requirements and the satisfaction of TSA. And that's kind of what we're doing moving forward. That's what we're proposing to do moving forward.
Right.
So,
great.
Is there a deadline for either one of these projects when you have to be compliant?
no, as long as you are showing positive progress, they are satisfied with that.
And when you say that first project is more, you're managing the progress, and the second one is more being managed by the FAA?
Correct. The Customs Border Protection, they will be involved in the construction side of things. They obviously won't be doing the construction itself, but they've been involved in the planning and ultimately will be involved as the final walkthrough and so forth. And then on the security side, certainly TSA has been involved in the planning on what equipment we should be looking at. And at the end of the day, they have the inspection and compliance requirements that we have to meet when they go around and test the systems. And so, yeah, they have been involved, they will be involved, and their involvement will continue moving forward.
But we still run the construction
Correct.
collect bids, make
Yep.
sure they meet.
Yep, so it goes through the bid process, and then the security stuff will go through the RFP
Right.
process.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Great, motion is approved. Next item on the agenda is to amend the 2024 through 2029 capital improvement program and the 2024 capital budget to expand the scope and increase the funding for the county office building reconstruction project in the amount of $9,900,000. Is the wording, is that the correct wording?
Yes.
Okay. Expand the scope and increase. So you're expanding the scope and increasing the funding by 9.9 million, or?
There's an existing $10 million capital fund, 1850 that's been established.
Right.
So this is adding
Yeah.
9.9 to that, but because
Okay.
that was an old cap, I say old, several years ago, it's not in the 24
Gotcha.
to 30 CIP.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. So this is the only project and it's going to be 9.9.
9.9 in addition to the 10. So we're gonna have 19.9 to finish up the project. to do the
Okay.
project.
So should we have a phrase on the end of that stating that, saying for a total authorization?
Well, this actually came from finance, so I'll defer to
Okay.
Joe, but I don't, yeah.
Sorry to
Yeah.
throw a wrench in that. I just wanted to make sure we're
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't look at that one.
okay.
Yeah, this actually came from Bob, the
Okay.
language, so.
Okay. Let's see. Let me reread this in my head there. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, normally when we increase it, we do say that for a
Yeah.
total authorization of 19.9.
Right.
This one we didn't. I don't know. I think it's because the capital fund 1850 is relatively old. I think it's,
Finished up.
no, it's still there.
Still
It's still
going.
funded, yeah.
Still going. Okay.
But it's not within the CIP cycle, I think. I don't,
Right.
would have to ask Bob
Got it.
exactly what the rationale was.
Okay. Great. So with that, we're not adding any wording, and I need a motion for that, please.
Move it.
Sure. And a second, please.
Second.
Thanks, Mike. And Sean,
There you go.
welcome.
Thank you. So if you go probably to the third slide. I always put that, yeah. So this is for the county office building, which is kitty corner on Main Street here. It's an old building, 1896. It was built. The last time we did an HVAC project was back in the 1980s. So the equipment's, almost over 40 years old at this point. And there was a master plan that was done in 2009 that did identify a number of items that had to happen, most of which we've undertaken so far, which is electrical upgrades, some plumbing, bathroom upgrades. We replaced the windows a couple years ago. You may remember that. So this last remaining project is the HVAC work, which was bid back in 2022. And because we're doing the whole building and trying to be as least disruptive as we can, we split each floor up into quadrants and had a lot of premium time, overtime, and the bid just came back higher than we really wanted it to be. So we had the consultant go back and reevaluate, didn't change anything from an equipment standpoint, but the logistics plan on how we're going to actually do the work. So we're going to do entire floors. In the budget, we've included move management and swing space if necessary. And then part of that is we also need to have public facing access, like in finance or the tax department, still needs to be operational. Some people can work from home, but some people do need to be in the building to accommodate what the needs are from the general public. So that's the main thrust of what the project is. If you go to the next slide, we have received bids, and it's obviously going through the ledge right now, but the mechanical contractor would replace all of the heat pumps. There's 111 throughout the building. Basically, it's a complete gut and rehab of the HVAC system on all floors. We're going to start in the basement, get all the mechanicals, everything that comes into the building, identify and outline, do some shaft work to get utilities up to the fourth floor, and then work from fourth down to the first floor in a sequence over years. So it's going to take 2 years to get this project completed. We've met with all the department heads, let everybody know that there's going to be some disruption. They're giving us the information back on what we need to do for swing space, what needs to be accommodated in the building during the construction. And that's all accounted for, that associated work. move management, swing space, and keeping the public facing operations going while we can. The clerk has been very helpful identifying counter space that we can use as necessary, so we don't necessarily have to create new space. We can utilize some of the space that already exists in the building. So there it is right there. One thing to just point out, so this is heat is by steam. We're an RDH, Rochester District Heating Co-op. So all the heat is provided by steam. So there's no natural gas, you know, from an environmental standpoint, it's pretty good. But one thing that's coming out, I'm not sure if most people know this, but the refrigeration standards have changed in 2025. So we're going to the newer refrigeration requirements. The current refrigerant in there, I think is R34, is not considered, doesn't hurt the ozone per se, but it's got they call it a, oh shit, I can't remember what the word is, but it's considered a greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have to use a different type of refrigerant now that has lower impact number that gets below a certain threshold established by EPA. And that's going to be accommodated in this project as well.
From my understanding, you've been having leaks in the system. It's been causing damage.
Yeah, because damage in the purchasing department, the ledge chambers,
Right.
not the chambers, but their offices. So
The GOP office was flooded, wasn't
yes,
it?
yeah.
Now, you
We'll do
also,
anything we can to get money so we can build projects. I say that loud? Yeah.
So there's some storage down in the lower floors, right?
Yes, the basement and sub-basement have storage in it.
And so all the Lieber books are in there for real estate and that sort of thing. Is there any specific humidity controls that are being added for that area, or just regular air conditioning will suffice?
Yeah, just everything that's in the place now is sufficient for that. Yeah. So it's called the global warming potential, is some criteria that was established by EPA. The current refrigerant has a GWP of 2088. Their threshold now is 700. So the new refrigerant will get us down below that 700. Yeah.
The heat pumps are designed to provide the right amount of cooling, even though it's different refrigerant.
Yes.
The new system is going to handle the square footage and volume.
Yeah. And one of the questions that came out of the committees was what percent increase in efficiency. We're working up those numbers right now. We'll get that back to the ledge to show what the percentage of increase efficiency will be with the new equipment. Because remember, the old equipment's 40 plus years old, right? So right out of the gate, we're getting efficiencies right there.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, you're going probably from 60s and 70s to up to like almost 90s, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there's a climate action plan. Does this construction help with that? I think it does. It does.
It does, because again, with the
efficiencies.
refrigerant, that certainly helps, right? The peck on steam, we're not going back to gas or anything else. So from
Right.
that standpoint, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
And then there's another initiative with Rochester District Heating to kind of wean them off of natural gas too, which is separate, because remember, we're an end user of that. Even though the county actually represents about 55 to 60% of RDH's load.
Oh,
So we have a vested interest to make sure
sure.
that happens, but we also then will incur a lot of the cost of cooling with that. So, it's a dual-edged sword.
Does the steam plant, sorry, these are getting a little detailed. Does the steam actually go to the heat pumps in an heat exchanger type of scenario, or is there a different heating system? Like the heat pumps are only used for cooling, or do they do heating and cooling? Are the systems connected?
Yeah, just mainly heating into the basement through a heat exchanger and then throughout the building.
That's so they
We don't have
all the
absorption cooler, if that's what you're asking.
yeah. I mean, they actually the heat pumps actually do the heating.
Yes.
And okay, nice. Sorry about those. Any other questions for?
Well, the next slide, again, just the scope. We've got a general contractor, so it's mainly a mechanical project. But because of Wick's law, right, we need a general contractor to replace all the ceiling tiles, do any coring that has to have in between floors, that type of thing. But also we have a code issue in the lower left-hand corner. That's the controller's office. It's restrictive space. So as you may remember, on the south side of the county office building, there's a fire escape, which is not very accessible. So we have to do some code upgrades to meet that requirement, keep everybody safe. The electrical contractor is replacing a lot of drives, and the building automation system then will increase efficiencies, be able to do setbacks, a lot tighter control on set points, those types of things. help the increased efficiency. And then the whole building's gonna get all new LED lighting as part of the retrofit coming out. And on the next slide, kind of picking up what's going on with the airport, security is important, right? So in the last couple of years since this project came about, security at the county office building has been coming to the forefront. So we're working with public safety on a plan. We've hired a consultant to come up with a plan, master plan for security. We're going to be adding cameras, access control is important. Again, keeping track of the public facing departments, make sure their security is adequate. And we know where people are when they're coming in the building, not just wandering all over waiting for something.
Right.
You know, again, working with them. And then enhanced signage. So as you know now, the front entrance is closed, the north entrance, everybody has to enter through the, well, maybe you don't know. So people have to enter through the south side, which is causing some confusion when everybody shows up off of Main Street. Why can't they get in, right?
Right.
There's big ugly signs that say use the back, but those don't really give much detail on how to get back there.
Okay.
So we're gonna enhance that. I'm trying to maintain the historic flavor of the building. You know, so we don't just have big ugly signs saying go back there.
Right. Okay.
Yep. And then we're also gonna do elevator upgrades. Those elevators will be over 30 years old by the time we get to them, but the two elevators have failed on a couple of occasions. You know, the ropes are old and just want to make sure those things are safe. And schedule wise, so with the approval from the ledge on funding, we can get started on the security upgrades this year. And then it'll probably take us 6 months or so to implement. We'll do that as a separate contract. We have the design of the elevators underway right now. So they'll be ready to go in the first quarter of next year. And that's probably a year or so by the time you get long lead time items and everything else. And that's part of a larger elevator contract that we're doing. It's going to be replacing about 7 to 9 elevators around the county. So that's pretty significant. Elevators are always an issue for us.
Right.
And then the HVAC, once the bonding gets approved, then we have stop-go periods. We got to go through contract HQ. So notice to proceed really won't happen until next year, first part of next year. And then it's a 2-year process.
And the cost reflect that escalation
Yes.
out.
All the escalation, move
27.
management, all those extra costs have been included in this. So we don't have to come back and ask for more money. We've got it all covered right now.
Is the parts are available for elevators and drives and all that stuff, or is there?
It's going to be
still
still retrofit. About the only thing that's going to remain is going to be the car itself, all the ropes, all the controls, everything else will be all brand new.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're about 500 grand an elevator, which is why we've got $1 billion right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll get the economies of scale by having the 7 or 8 elevators. Plus, we'll have one elevator company doing them all, so we don't have 2 or 3 different elevators.
Right.
Because we actually, I think, we have at least 5 different elevator manufacturers in the system right now, and it's kind of a pain trying to mix and match equipment.
But you haven't heard of too many problems with parts not being available on new, delivery times, things like that.
Oh, there's still long lead time.
There are
That's
still
why
long
we're-
lead times.
Yeah, the elevators in this building took well over a year to get going by the
Okay.
time they got the equipment in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been fixed yet. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we know
Delivery
what the one
times.
problem is over
Yeah.
here. We'll get that.
I know I meant the delivery time.
Oh, the delivery time?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Again, because it's specialized stuff. Delivery times are starting to increase or decrease
Are they? Okay.
on standard materials, but a lot of these different types of
Okay.
materials, unique materials, still takes them a long time to get there.
Yeah.
And the elevators are safe, just to let everybody know. You're not gonna, they're not gonna collapse on you or anything.
Yeah.
It's interesting how many people with claustrophobia don't like to go in elevators. We're finding that out more and more. Well, but they're safe, always maintain safe elevator.
Anything else?
Well,
Another sheet.
that's it right there. Questions?
Sorry, I kept interrupting.
No, it's better to ask when you are thinking of it.
Any questions for Sean?
No,
Come
yeah,
on.
there you go.
Have you seen the elevators in Czech Republic? They don't stop moving, you jump on and you jump off.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah,
Really?
We'll show it to you. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been
okay.
going on for hundreds of years.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion is passed.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice job, thank you. Any other business? Hearing none, our next scheduled meeting is October 24th at 2024 at 3:30 PM, regular time here. And I need a motion for adjournment.
Move.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Rachel. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great rest of the month and see you in October.
It's just a conveyor system.
Wow.